Assalamualaikum. Dr. Zahir, thank you for joining this morning. Alhamdulillah, seronok dapat tengok kawan-kawan daripada jauh pun dapat join. Saya nampak Dato' Farhan pun ada. Alhamdulillah.
Mana boleh tinggal.
Okeylah, insyaAllah kita boleh mulakan tanpa membuang masa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera, selamat pagi kepada semua rakan-rakan, sahabat-sahabat, para pendidik daripada USM dan mungkin juga daripada luar USM yang dapat bersama pada pagi ini yang webinar yang saya panggil sebagai farewell webinar. Jadi sebelum kita teruskan, marilah kita memulakan program pada pagi ini dengan bacaan Ummul Kitab untuk mendapat keberkatan daripada program pada pagi ini. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillah minasyaitanir rajim. Bismillah. Iya kan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera lagi sekali. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada semua rakan-rakan, sahabat-sahabat yang dapat join program pada pagi ini. Mungkin program yang terakhir, I guess, di bawah payung CDAE yang saya dapat bersama pada tahun inilah, ya. Jadi webinar ini saya panggil sebagai farewell webinar dan saya berikan tajuk yang saya rasa sangat relevan kepada kita semua sebagai ahli akademik dalam dunia akademik yang semakin mencabar. Dan tajuk ini saya baru perasan recently Dato' Farhan pun ada bagi tajuk quite similar to this one, ya. So, tapi this is my take on so-called enculturation or acculturation of new academia in the VUCA world. So I hope I will share with you, or I will leave you with 8 calls to action. So I hope you can bear with me. This 8 calls to action is something that I've thought about it, and I think these are the real challenges that we are facing moving forward in the so-called VUCA world. I will share the link to download. I have about 100 slides, but don't worry, a lot of my slides are actually graphic. I will share the link on the last slide for you to download and use as you wish. So, some of my friends and colleagues remark about the farewell. They said, there's no farewell, or there's no such thing as farewell for me, for you, or for everyone in education, because we can continue doing or contribute to the world of education. Yeah, that's true. But basically, this farewell webinar today, this morning, is basically to mark my departure from USM after 28 years officially, before I retire next month on the 8th of October. So I have 2 quotes here. I love quotes. One is from John Green here. It is so hard to live until you live. And then it is the easiest thing in the world. I hope so. I hope so. And I believe, as Kristen Butler also say here, trust that an ending marks the start of an even better beginning. I hope it's true. Although I will leave USM, retire from service, but I have pledged to USM, to the Vice Chancellor, to the Deputy Vice Chancellors, that I will continue to help USM if needed. I'm available anytime, just a call away, and I hope to contribute continuously. And to all who are listening, whether in WebEx or on YouTube, feel free to contact me anytime, and I'll be, available if you need a helping hand. So I'll be leaving USM by early next month after 28 years service as an academic staff. Longer than that, actually, if I count the number of years as a student. But I will be leaving USM with all the good memories. And I hope every one of you, my colleagues that are still in USM, when you leave USM, you'll take with you only the good memories. And we want to leave behind also with our friends, our colleagues also, all the good memories. But I also very much aware that the world of academic or the world of academia that we are living now and moving forward, there'll be a lot of challenges that would require the best from each one of us. If we look at a day in the life of an academic, it's, I think, different, not much different compared to, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, but the demand and the expectation is perhaps much, much more. So I've shared this graphic quite some time ago in the Facebook group, Aspiring Young Academic, a day in the life of an academic. And I've listed those that I can think of. But of course, from the comments that I get on the Facebook, they say, oh, this is only a partial list. There's, you can put even more. Oh, yes, the list can be even longer than this. There's so much that we as an academic have to do: publishing, doing research, teaching, writing research grant, writing report for the research grant, reading thesis, and so on and so forth. So many things that we have to juggle kind of the balls every day without dropping any. So it's actually a lot of challenges that we have to deal with in the world of academic. And therefore, my sharing, my farewell webinar and sharing this morning is basically to talk about what I view as the challenges in the world of academic in the next 5 to 10 years, the great challenges that everyone has to face. But with that, I'm quite optimistic. With challenges, that it will come with prospects and opportunities. So I think we should leverage on the potential. Every one of us has huge potential that yet to be unleashed. So let's look at the prospects. Let's look at the opportunities, and let's deal with the challenges in the best possible way. So I hope I will leave with you. I will leave you with 8 calls to action. I'm very privileged to be given the task and the opportunity as a director of Center for Development of Academic Excellence. I think now it has become a kind of a name by itself, CDAE. It's quite long, but I think just like PPPM, now I think people remember CDAE. We established CDAE in 2012, although we have started our work in providing professional development program for our academic staff well before that. But officially, it was established during Dato Omar Osman as a Vice Chancellor. And the task given to CDAE is to plan, to design, and to run professional development program for all the 1,800, 900 plus academic staff spread over the 3 campuses. And one of our program is actually to run, to conduct teaching and learning program for new lecturers. And I like to use the term aspiring young academics. And we have run this program in the last 8 years, I think. CDE has been around for 10 years. And we run this program for young lecturers for 8 years now. And I think we have got about 500 lecturers or academics that have gone through this program. And I hope most of them, if not all, are here listening. But I know some of them have commitment. So if you are listening live, please say something, hello, and which batch are you from, PNP, what year, in the chat box. Or if you are watching the recording, the rekaman on YouTube, please also say hello. And I hope you will watch also the whole presentation, although it's you just watch the rekaman later. Yeah. So this is the last batch. Recently in August, we have basically completed this program for the last batch for this year, face to face after we have after the pandemic, and Alhamdulillah, it was as usual, I think, very successful. So if you are here, some of the members of this group, if you are here, please say hello also. And this is one of the posters produced by one of the participants. I forgot who actually produced this poster. It's a very good work. Thank you so much. And this is something memorable that we can keep for ourselves, something that I can keep also to remind me the good moments with all of you during the program. So my dear friend, my dear colleagues and friends in the academia, I just put up this slide again because this is the reality of being an academic. Nobody says it is easy. It is always very challenging, but to me, at the end of the day, is very satisfying if you really love what you are doing. So a day in the life of an academic is very busy, sometimes extremely busy. So how do we juggle the ball? How do we do all these things without affecting us too much? Actually, to be honest, I'm quite concerned looking at everything that we need to do as an academic nowadays. There's so much demand, there's so much expectation, very high expectation. And we start to hear issues such as mental health, mental well-being, stress, stressful life, and so on. So my dear friend, my dear colleagues, this is the call to action number one. Whatever that we do in as part of our job, as part of our duty as an academic, at the end of the day, I think we have to go home. We have to go home to our family. So please take care yourself and your family. And I've shared this book recently in the FB group, Aspiring Young Academic. If you have not joined the group, please do so, because I always share a lot of good stuff in the group. So this book, Unraveling Faculty Burnout, I think now I'm reading the book halfway, I think, but I think this is a very, very good book to have for all academics. Actually, the main audience of this book is actually female educators, but I think it's generic. The advice is the issues that we are facing is actually similar. So this is applicable to everyone, teachers, educators, lecturers, academics out there. I would strongly encourage you to buy this book, read this book, Unraveling Faculty Burnout, Pathway to Reckonings and Renewal by Rebecca here. So a call to action number one here, the message that I want to leave behind is about family, about yourself, because I think if our health is affected, then a lot of things we cannot do. And I've experienced this recently. So I know what I'm saying here. It's very, very important to take care of yourself and your family. So another quote here, having somewhere to go is home, having someone to love is family, and having both is a blessing. That's a call to action number one. But again, I'm sure all of us here have been working very hard. I think nobody can deny that. I think we have been working very, very hard to deliver all what is expected of us as an academic, if you like the KPIs, so-called. So if you have been working and trying very hard, how much harder can you do? So maybe trying harder is not the way. Maybe it's time now to do a reflection, look back, evaluate, do some assessment of what we have been doing, how effective, and so on. And maybe it's time to reframe the whole thing and try something differently. Try to do things differently. Maybe sometimes we need to redefine everything and trying something new. And hopefully we bring the fresh ideas so that we can move forward with a stronger momentum. Try something different. And this is where the title of my presentation is Enculturation or Acculturation, which I think we use interchangeably, which is a process in which an individual adopts and adapts, acquires and adjusts to a new cultural environment as a result of being placed into a new culture. I think we are moving into a so-called new culture of learning, a new culture of teaching, a new culture of academia. So we have to reimagine a lot of things. We have to do a lot of rethinking, a lot of reflection. We cannot keep doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results, as Albert Einstein said. So it's time maybe to really sit down and do a deep reflection, assess everything that we have been doing, assess the effectiveness, whether we put in one effort, we get 10 results, or we put in 10 efforts and we get one result, which means it's not effective. So acculturation here is about adapting to a new environment because of the new demands, the new of everything. So we say new norms. So we have gone through very, well, I would say hard experience in the past 2 years. After almost 2 years, now reflecting back, I think we all recognize now that the education as we knew it would not return to the time prior to the COVID. In the past 2 years, I think have been a tipping point. If you read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point, it's not just a turning point, but it's a tipping point. It changes the trajectory of our journey moving forward, changes to a different trajectory. So in the past 2 years have been a tipping point where the much discussed and debated transformation of education has accelerated. A lot of things that we have been discussed before is not only just discussion, no action, talk only, but now because of the pandemic, everything has been accelerated and grown more widespread. So COVID-19 has sparked digital transformation in a positive way, in a good way for thousands of institutions. And for those already adapting, people like me, that have already been using online and so on for some time, we were forced to change faster. We were forced to even learn, to learn even more and to change faster, to move faster. So pandemic, I think in the last 2 years it was really designed, I think, as a wake up call for us, for everyone. It was an awakening, and it was a tipping point, meaning now moving forward in the so-called new norm in the VUCA world, we are going into a different trajectory. So these are some observations which I think from my own observation on education during the pandemic. And I want to share with you, and this is something that I think is very good for us to ponder at this point in time. The first one, if you remember in the early stage of pandemic, there was in March 2020, we still remember, I think 18 March, the PKP or the first lockdown, 18 March 2020. I think that's a date that we have to remember. So everyone was rushing, was kind of panicking because we have to transition from face to face that we have so used, we are so used to do into online and fully online. It's not a blended learning anymore, but it's fully online. And obviously, at that time, there was no plan B. We are so comfortable with the plan A, the face-to-face. And when we are forced to move online or to transition to fully online, then we realize we are not ready. So lack of readiness in terms of our mindset, in terms of the skill set. And these are applicable not for students, for parents, for teachers, for administrators, and for decision makers as well. Everyone was like in the dark, what to do next, what to do next. So it was a good lesson because we realized agility. So there's the A in VUCA, agility, lack of agility, adaptability, emotional endurance as well. We realized that after we have been locked up for some time, PKP after PKP, that it slowly take its toll to our emotion. And this is where the emotional endurance is become very, very important. And we actually overlook or neglected actually the social emotional wellness needs of faculty and students. Only later on we realized that this has become a more serious issue that we need to address, the emotional part, because everyone has to be locked or confined in their own room looking at the computer screen. So the screen time has increased tremendously. And slowly we realize that it takes its toll to our emotion. But at that time, we don't realize, we overlook and neglected the social emotional wellness needs of the academics, of the lecturers, of the teachers, and also the student as well. Still, during the pandemic, we are, the OBE and so on, we still have to make sure that we do everything right. We are doing the right thing and doing the right thing in the right way. So we still put too much focus on the Bloom taxonomy. We make sure that learning outcome, everything is designed in such a way so that we can deliver effectively as what we have put in our BPK, in our documentation and so on. So we are putting Bloom before Maslow. If you know Maslow hierarchical needs in management, we learn about Maslow hierarchy. So it's actually about the needs, the basic needs of human beings, starting from having shelter, food, and towards finally to self-esteem and self-actualization. Actually, we should actually address the Maslow before we address the Bloom. So this is another lesson that we have learned and observed during the pandemic. And when we move into a new environment, online learning, a lot of people are still trying to do the practices that they are so used to in a face-to-face environment. Bring everything into the online. Of course, it doesn't work that way. So new environment, but still same old of way of doing things. And the mindset is still didn't change at that point. We still focus on making sure we cover all the syllabus, the 14-week syllabus, making sure we cover all the content, because they said this is a requirement. We must make sure everything is in the OBE, because when the auditors come, they will question us why this and that. So we still focus on covering the content. It's still very much the content-centric mindset, rather than the learning-centric or the learner-centric, student-centric kind of approach. And then we realized the technology, the online technology, the connectivity, and so on become a big issue, and that basically show the amplifying the digital divide, because of accessibility to the internet, to the devices, and so on, are not equal. There are still a lot of people that are deprived or not having the same facilities, the same access to the internet, and so on. So it amplifies a lot of things. And last but not least, some of my observation, amplifying issues of ethics and integrity. We had a lot of conversation about plagiarism, about cheating. How do we make sure that the students are not cheating in the tests, in the exams? We focus too much time and energy into finding the solution, how to prevent students to cheat, which to me, I think is a misguided, or we are not addressing the root of the problem, the crux of the matter, which is to provide the proper education so that our students have the integrity and not doing plagiarism, not cheating, and so on, because they know that it is wrong. But of course, there is no easy solution, because they have gone through the system where the integrity and the ethics have not been instilled and inculcated properly. So these are some of the observation during the pandemic. I think this is a good starting point for us moving forward, addressing all these issues, so that we will be prepared for the future. And this is where the new academia, the enculturation of new academia comes in. But mind you, when I talk about all this observation during the pandemic, it's not just due to the technology. It's not just about online learning. It's actually beyond that. There are a lot of issues that we can address. Not only focusing on the technology, not only focusing on the online facilities and so on. So, University of Cambridge, they have done a study. So, and this actually the title, you can go to the website to read about this, more about their findings, their suggestion, and so on. Beyond online learning, researchers launch live experiment to imagine the post-pandemic university, what the university will look like post-pandemic. Having learned all the lessons and observation and some of the points that I've shared with you in the previous slide. So ladies and gentlemen, VUCA, I think this acronym, perhaps some people are still not very familiar, but VUCA is basically an acronym to describe the world we are living now and in the future. Volatility, V stand for volatility, meaning that it's very unstable, very volatile, very active, can change anytime. So the world is very uncertain. What will happen tomorrow, let alone next month, let alone next year. Everything is very uncertain. So a lot of things are very uncertain. We cannot put our fingers on and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. But things are changing very fast, changing very dynamically. And if you look at the technology, for example, it changes exponentially. Complexity, we are living in a world of very complex. Even the problem that we want to solve is always very complex. So how do we deal with complexity and ambiguities? There's not so much of clarity. So this is what we describe as VUCA world. And this is the world that we are living in, the new normal, so-called, so to speak, the new normal, the post-pandemic world, the post-pandemic era. And this is a good, I think, diagram if we let us dwell on this a little bit to understand the VUCA world, where a lot of things driven by technology, driven by the so-called Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, the technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, and so on. So the world is actually moving. A lot of things are moving at exponential rate. So if you see the straight line here, and the curved line here and the intersection here, this is actually the inflection point, the so-called the tipping point. Just now, if you read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, I would recommend you to read this book. And at this point, it's actually around 2000 here. This, if you remember, if you recall, this is where the computer technology start to advance very, very rapidly. I remember I bought my first Macintosh computer in 1989 when I started my PhD. And that was very basic. The PC, the Windows are very basic at that time. If you remember, if some of you probably recall those time. And after that, technology moved so fast, exponentially. So when we are talking about the world in the future, the VUCA world, what we need now, when we look at the rate of innovation in technology, we need a good leadership. And the kind of leadership that we need in the VUCA world are those having competency in digital leadership. There's a term called digital leaders, digital leadership, that the leaders that understand about the power of digital and how do we leverage the power of digital in order for us to survive, in order for us to stay relevant, especially when we talk about the world of academia. Okay, and I think we need to look forward and envision how are we going to adopt and adapt in the world of VUCA. The world of VUCA, in the context of business, a world where everything is very volatile, uncertain, complexity, and ambiguity. So now I want to look at VUCA from a different perspective, from a different angle, in the context of education in general, the context of higher education in particular. So if you look at from here, the shore, we are on the shore, on the beach. We look at the past experience and look at the current situation, assess the current situation. Look back to reflect and learn the lesson from the pandemic, as I have shown in the previous slides. Look at where we are now and look at where we are going, the future state, the required and desirable state that we are moving into. So rather than looking at VUCA in a kind of a negative connotation, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, why not from volatility, we are more have more strategic direction, strategic intent in terms of defining our vision. And hopefully the vision defined by our leadership are the shared vision, that everyone share the vision so that everyone can move together, move in the same boat and pull their weight together. So we need to kind of have a very clear strategic intent and then understand what exactly the motivation behind it, why we are doing it, the why behind it. If the vision says something, so we need to really understand the underlying philosophy, the underpinning motivation and direction of our leadership so that we have this shared vision, so that we can move together as a unit. The unity is very, very important moving forward in the VUCA world. So understanding, I will elaborate more what I mean by vision, what I mean by understanding, complexity to clarity. If you are clear, our big why, we are very clear with our strategic intent and strategic direction. If we are clear what it takes for everyone to play their role to deliver, so everything will be easier. And from ambiguity to agility, we need to be agile. Tangkas, we need to be able to change. Just like what's binatang tu apa? Sesumpah, it can change color according to the environment. So the agility, ability to change very fast, to adopt and adapt without much problem. Come what may, we can deal with it. So this is where, my dear colleagues and friends, I would like to propose the world of new academia, where we need to adopt some models that we can describe it as future-proof. Future-proof learning, future-proof ecosystem, future-proof learners, future-proof academics, future-proof program, meaning that come what may in the future, we are able to adopt and adapt and survive and stay relevant. So future-proof, I want to take one definition here. Future-proof learning, according to Kushner and Stoyanov here, is the acquisition of knowledge, skill, and attitudes necessary to continue to learn in a stable and enduring way in a rapidly changing world. That's one definition of future-proof. So we can apply the concept of future-proof to everything, to the system, to the people, to the person, to the program. So when we look at the learners, because I think that's the main thing that we need to take care of our students. So future-proofing our learners means ensuring that they learn a wide range of skill or capabilities that will allow them to thrive in increasingly complex global workplaces. Well, learners here actually is a broad term that not only apply to the students, our students, but everyone, including us. We are also learners. So at different level in different ways. So this is applicable to students, applicable to the academics, the faculty, the lecturers, the administrators, the leadership as well. A call to action number 2, a vision. Remember the V in the VUCA, rather than volatility, we change that into vision. So we need to have a very clear vision and hopefully a shared vision. A vision for future-proof learning ecosystem. We look at the ecosystem, not only an individual component in the whole ecosystem, because everything has to work synchronously, harmoniously. And this is what we call the new academia. This is my take on the new academia. So here, when we talk about future-proof learning ecosystem, there are 8 dimensions. And of course, I would not be able to elaborate each one of these, but I will be focusing on especially the first one here, learning-centric. I think we have to go back to basic. We have to understand what learning is, what learning means, and how do we deliver the best learning experience. Datuk Farhan, during his tenure, he used the term distinguished learning experience. And we have to look at our students now. They are coming from 11, 12 years from school to the university, but most of them are not actually having the characteristics of independent learners. They are very much passive learners. They are very much have this mentality and mindset that they want to be fed in general. So what we want them is to be more independent, self-directed, and self-regulated learners. But how do we do that? within the time they have in the university, 4 years. We don't have much time. But of course, we can do our best to help them to become self-directed and self-regulated learners. And I want to focus more also on professional educators. I think if we can enhance our professionalism, that actually it will address a lot of things. It will solve a lot of issues that we have been facing so far. It's all about professionalism, and it's not only for the academics at all levels. Everyone. Imagine USM with 10,000 plus staff. If everyone has very high level of professionalism, I think USM will fly far, far ahead of everyone. But what does professional means? What does professionalism means? We have to understand that. So this understand comes in the U of VUCA. The mindset and motivation. Social emotional learning. Remember I mentioned about the emotion part. And this increasingly become more and more important aspect that we need to be aware of and we need to address. And of course, the technology, devices and connectivity, empathy, which is closely related to the emotion state. How do we treat people? How do we be more empathetic and so on? And the collaborative culture moving forward with the technology and so on. We cannot work alone, because if you want to go far, let's go together, let's work together, collaborate together, because we have all the platform, we have all the technology that we can leverage so that we can produce more. We can be more productive by working together rather than competing with each other. So, ladies and gentlemen, this 8 dimension of future-proof learning, this is what I want to describe as a so-called the new academia. So a call to action number 3. Remember, I have 8 call to action, so I have 5 more to go. A call to action number 3. Let's go back to basic. Let's go back to the fundamental. Some of you have been teaching for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But do we really understand what learning means? So if we want to understand learning, then we have to understand our students, understand learners themselves. So these are a call to action number 3. And this is where the program that CDE has been running for many years to give the exposure and understanding about learning and about learners. So remember the U in VUCA in the context of education, understand. And understanding can come from learning, attending all the programs, reading the books, attending the programs that CDE run and so on. We can learn from each other as well. So there's so much to know and learn about learning. And as I mentioned just now, we can learn from books, and this is what I've been doing for so long. And this one always one of my favorite book that I always recommend. If you have followed some of my webinar, maybe you have seen this, How Learning Works, 7 research-based principles for smart teaching. And I take a quote from the book. Again, this graphic I've shared in the Facebook group, Aspiring Young Academics. That's why I encourage all of you to join the group. And these are very beautiful and very meaningful words here. When it comes to teaching, most of us are still learning. If we are humble enough to admit this fact, we are still learning. Teaching is a complex activity, and yet most of us have not received a formal training in pedagogy. Furthermore, teaching is a highly contextualized activity because it is shaped by the students we have. Different group of students have different characteristics, different, I'm sure you know what I mean from your experience, so many years. Advancement in our respective field, changes in technology and so on. Therefore, our teaching must constantly adapt to changing parameters. So this is where the adaptability, agility that we need to change as the environment change, as the student change, as the technology change, as the demand changes. So we want, by understanding learning, we want to make learning more meaningful for our students. We want to make learning more memorable, unforgettable, something that they can take away from USM, something that they will remember the institution, the USM in this context, forever, even after they have graduated 20 years. So let's now try to make our students understand that although grade is important and we encourage them to get the best grade possible, the best possible grade they can, but let's try to take them beyond the grade. We want them to be, we want to make them a true lifelong learners, meaning that learning not just for the sake of grade, but learning for the sake of developing themselves, developing personally, and developing themselves professionally. So I think looking back after X number of years that we have been teaching in the university, in the school, sometimes we tend to forget because we are rushing into finishing the syllabus. We are rushing into doing things because we have a lot of other things on our plate. Not only just teaching kan. So kita kata nak buat research, publication lah, macam-macam lagi. So sometimes we tend to forget our students. We tend to even memorize their names. Who are they? Where they come from? You know, have we asked them, you know, where is your hometown? What's your name? What's your parents doing? That empathy part. What sort of, if we are doing online, yeah, during the pandemic especially, what sort of devices do they have? Do they have access to the online? Do they have the right equipment and device to work? What's the learning environment like? Where do you stay? Are you staying in the, you know, luxurious bungalow or in the condominium or in the low cost flat? Do we care? Do we care to ask? Are we sensitive to all this? Do we really put or spend some time to really get to know our students? Well, I am also guilty of this to some extent. I'm not saying that what I'm saying here that I do everything to the perfection. No, but there is something that I think just to remind all of us, we exist here in the university, and the university itself exists because of the students. That's the first and foremost the motivation for us. We exist because of our students, and we have to deliver the amanah given to us, the task given to us to the best possible. And the first thing that we need to know, we need to do is knowing our student, because before we do anything during the semester, we need to connect with our student. The connection must happen first, then only there's a communication. If there is no connection, there is no communication, or vice versa. The first C is connection, the second C is communication. Then only we can form a community. The third C is community. Every batch or every group of our students are a small community by itself. But there is no community if there is no communication. There will be no communication if there is no connection. The connection among the students, among their peers, the connection between the students and the teachers and us. So, my dear colleagues and friends, let's look at this. Let's be more prihatin. Let's be more empathetic. Let's know our students more now so that we can start to connect with them. We can communicate with them and get them also to communicate with each other. It's very sad when I asked the group of students in the third semester, I met the student for the first time, a group of 50 or 60 students, and I asked this question to one of the student. Do you know the name of your friend sitting at the back wearing the pink tudung? And this is the third semester, remember? And it turned out they don't know everyone in their own class. their classmate after the third semester. In the third semester, what happened? Okay. So we want learners to be more independent also. I think we have been lamenting this, that our students are not independent. They expect to, we feed everything to them. And that's probably true to some extent, but what can we do about it? We want them to be more independent. So we have to pay more attention now to our students. It's more about them, less about us. And that's basically the basic fundamental concept of student-centered learning. We want to empower the students. We want to give them the voice. We want to give them the responsibility to take charge of their own learning. We want them to become the self-directed learners and self-regulated learners. So self-directed learning and self-directed learners is about independency. We want our students to be more independent, a process in which learners take responsibility in understanding their learning needs, establishing their learning goals, and implementing learning strategies and evaluation. So students can be described as self-regulated learning. Students can be described as self-regulated to the degree that they are metacognitively, motivationally, and behaviorally active participants in their own learning process. So the term metacognitive here is about, the students asking the questions about, uh, how much they have learned, what they don't understand. So they always do a self-reflection. So that's the so-called metacognitive strategy. Think about their own thinking, so-called. Think about what they are doing. Think about what they are reading, whether they have understood or, what they have learned and so on, what they have read and so on. So, in other words, self-regulated learning or self-regulated learners is the ideal situation where we want our students to be, because self-regulated students are highly motivated. You ask them to do one, they will do 10. You ask them to do one, they will deliver 10. They are very independent. They will, always 10 steps ahead of other students, other peers. So these are ideally what we want, and we have to help them to become self-directed and self-regulated. In the world of VUCA, I think if we can develop our students to be self-directed and self-regulated, I think we can be confident when they go out, they will flourish. Itulah kita kata, kalau benih yang baik, kalau dilontar ke laut menjadi pulau, dilontar ke darat menjadi gunung, dilontar ke langit menjadi kejora yang bergemerlapan. That can happen only if they are self-directed, if they are self-regulated. And it is part of our responsibility to help them to become self-directed and self-regulated. So how do we do that? So I'm not going to elaborate each one of these. You're going to have the slide and you can read further. I have given the reference down here, but it takes two to tango. So I always tell the students, it takes two to tango, meaning that they have to play their role and we can play our role too. Okay, so fostering self-directed learning for the students, these are their role. They become the director of their own learning. They become the detective of their own thinking, collaborator with peers and teachers, pattern seeker through diverse ideas and experiences. And what it might look like when a student is a good self-directed learner. They co-constructing success criteria. They know what success means for them. They set their own goals. They are driven by the goals that they have set, not the goals set by other people, by the lecturers or by the teachers. They always monitor their thinking. They always question. They always, they do self-regulation, selecting strategies. What is the best learning strategies for them? They develop their own workflow, providing self and peer feedback, applying feedback, deciding what to investigate next, adjusting learning behavior as necessary. These are some of the characteristics, desired characteristics of self-directed learners. What is our role? Teacher's role. Designer of empowering lesson plans, detective of student thinking, evaluator of their own impact on learning, curator of diverse resources and experiences, what it might look like. So these are some of the things, yeah. And there's another characteristic that I think we want our students to have. In the VUCA world, for them to be able to flourish, to stay relevant, to do well, is the self-efficacy. What is self-efficacy? It's actually a belief. Sometimes a belief can be a limitation. So we want them to have a positive belief, a set of attitude that one can achieve their goals and succeed in a given situation. Yeah. So if someone will lose self-efficacy, they will say something like this: I will never be able to master this. So that's a fixed mindset. I was born this way. I'm not good with technology. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not this, I'm not that. So that's actually a very fixed mindset, as opposed to high self-efficacy. This is actually growth mindset. Always have a positive outlook to life. Oh, I'll try harder next time. The mentality of not yet. If you read the book on growth mindset by, I always forget the name of the author from Stanford University. The growth mindset is the mindset of not yet. Oh, I'm not tech savvy yet. Oh, I can't do this yet. I'm not good at this yet. So meaning that there's a room for improvement. There is intention to improve. So I can achieve this if I put an effort. I am in charge of my own learning. So high self-efficacy, when we have this in ourselves, in our students, meaning this is where the potential for growth is there. But we need to have this quality first, this attribute first. So people beliefs about their ability have a profound effect on those abilities. Ability is not a fixed property. There is huge variability in how you perform. People who have a sense of self-efficacy bounce back from failure. They approach things in terms of how to handle them rather than worrying about what can go wrong. So this is one from one of the prominent educators. For those from education, I'm sure you know very well, Albert Bandura, in his book Self-Efficacy, the Exercise of Control. A call to action number 4. So we are halfway already. Yeah, I think I actually tried to finish by 11. I'm not sure whether I can make it, but try my best. A call to action number 4. And I think this has become more and more important now. Tap into the power of emotion. Win the heart. So if we are talking about our students, we want to teach from the heart, and we want them to learn from the heart. Learn not only for the sake of grade, learn because they appreciate the value of learning. They appreciate the value of what they learn and how that can be used to develop themselves personally and professionally. So win the heart, teach from the heart, learn from the heart. Because according to Plato, all learning has an emotional base. Read the books by Howard Gardner, the multiple intelligence, and he has written many books after that. The 4 minds of the future, the disciplined mind, the inquisitive mind. What else? I forgot, but these are actually all related to how we can leverage emotion for positive outcome, for negative outcome. You decide. The choice is yours. So tap into the power of emotion. I mentioned previously Maslow before Bloom. I think now, instead of just focusing on Bloom taxonomy, the cognitive part, I think everyone is very familiar, but the affective part, many of us are actually not really put so much focus on that, although it's in the learning outcome or in the program outcome. That's why I always say that OBE, yeah, Dr. Farhan, I think I don't know whether they are still there. We have to move now from compliance to appreciation, penghayatan. Really understand and menghayati. And then from appreciation to the real implementation in the classroom. So Maslow, if you look at Maslow, hierarchical of needs, survival, security, belonging, importance, and self-actualization. If we can address this as part of our learning design, our lesson plan, how do we ensure that the students are ready before they come to our class or before they go into online? Look at their, looking at the security, looking at belonging, whether they feel they are part of the community. Remember, connection, communication, community. Whether they feel they feel they belongs to the group. They feel they belongs part of the family, part of the learning community. Because we want to be inclusive here. SDG number 4, quality education and inclusivity. Don't forget that. Importance. We want everyone to feel important. We want everyone to share their voice in the classroom. We want to empower everyone and self-actualization. Only then we can now look at all this Bloom taxonomy thing that we have to deliver as part of our program outcome and learning outcome. But I don't know whether you agree with me or not. We are very heavy on the Bloom, but not so much on the Maslow part. So now I'm sure if you are following the progress and the development in education, you will see a lot more and more now literatures about SEL, social emotional learning. And I want to stress this point as part of this call to action, as part of looking at the emotional part of ourselves and our student. Is, remember, learning is social. Learning cannot happen, no man is an island, meaning that everyone need everyone else to learn. So that's the social part. Then there's the emotional part. So SEL is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, achieve personal and collective goals, and feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. My dear colleagues and friends, I think social emotional learning is something that we need to address, something that we need to look into in our course design, in our lesson design. Please do not overlook this part. SEL can help young people and adults thrive personally and academically, develop and maintain positive relationships, become lifelong learners, and contribute to a more caring and just world. SEL make a difference. We know this from the research, which demonstrate that an education that promotes SEL has a positive impact on a wide range of outcomes, including academic performance, healthy relationship, mental wellness, and more. I would like to see USM to champion this, to advocate this. Moving forward in the VUCA world, I think the expectation is very high on everyone, including our students. And yet, are we preparing them during the 4 years when they go out? They become the so-called someone that not only competence in whatever degree that they have done. Let's say if they are mechanical engineers, they are competent as mechanical engineers. If they are pharmacists, they are competent as pharmacists. If they are medical doctors, they are competent. They are truly competent in terms of the skill, in terms of the knowledge. But again, we tend to forget in terms of their emotional strength, whether they can survive in the real world if we have not prepared them well on this aspect. I hope I have emphasized this enough to highlight how significant is this social emotional learning. A call to action number 5, rethink your instructional strategy, be creative. So again, remember, things are changing very, very fast. The technology, the demand, the type of students that we have. Therefore, we cannot keep doing the same thing that we have been doing for so long. We have to rethink every time to change our approach. Great teachers are unpredictable. I like that phrase that's my own phrase. Great teachers are unpredictable. So all this while, our focus is about finishing the syllabus, covering the syllabus, content-centric. So why not now change our mindset from content-centric to learning-centric? That's a call to action number 5. Rethink our instructional strategy. I like this quote. I shared this a few days ago on the FB group. Some teachers taught the curriculum today. So these are the teachers who just pay attention only concerned about finishing the syllabus, don't care much about whether the students have learned effectively or not. But other teachers taught students today. There's a big difference there. Our teachers taught students today, meaning that our main concern is about our students. We are concerned about their emotional state. We are concerned about whether they are, self-directed learners or they can become a self-regulated learners. So there's a big difference there. Other teachers taught students today. We want to empower students. We want to facilitate them. We want to give them the voice. So that's a big difference. I think this is a very the deep meaning here from this quote for us to take away. So why not don't just focus on covering the syllabus? Because that means we are controlling everything. We are dictating everything. Teacher-centered. Nothing wrong with teacher-centered. I think the teacher-centered is still relevant, but we don't give much empowerment to the students. So why not let's empower students to uncover it? How do we do that? So this is where all the approaches and strategies in student-centered learning. We design a lesson plan. We have activities that students can do. So they discover about the content. They learn about the concept. They learn about the principle. They learn how to solve the problem. That's part of the uncovering when we let them to do it. Because learning is something that the students do, not the teachers do on the student or for the students. So let's move towards learning-centric rather than just content-centric or teacher-centric. And this is what I call the new academia here, because the new culture of learning. So we need to dive in deeper to understand learning itself. Remember, the U in VUCA in the context of education is about understanding again, understanding the science of learning. Move from content-centric to learning-centric. So we have been talking about active learning for so long. Let's now change our mindset. Active learning is good, but not good enough. Let's understand more about how do we get students to do proactive learning and to agile learning, meaning that students now, remember the A in VUCA in the context of education, not ambiguous, but agile. So agile means here the students, if we have a self-regulated or self-directed learners, they should be able to change as necessary, change how they learn, change how they do things in the process of learning based on their own style. So this is a meta-cognitive strategy that I mentioned just now. Understand learning, understand learners, because effective learners are meta-cognitive learners. Think about their own thinking. Think about what they are doing. Think about everything that they do and reflect. So meta-cognitive learning strategies is part of the call action number 5 just now. Meta-cognitive based learning strategies where we will produce students that is agile, remember the A in VUCA, and resilient, self-directed and self-regulated. They always ask questions. What am I seeking to learn or be able to do? What have I learned after they have gone through the class session? They will ask themselves, what have I learned today? What have I learned this week? How can I take my learning to the next level? So this is the proactive part of learning. Remember, proactive learning, not just active learning. How can I take learning to the next level? How will I make personal meaning of this content? How do I currently know or think about the topic? That's on the student side. What about the teacher's side? We want also the teachers to become agile and resilient. They should also be metacognitively driven. They are self practitioners. Sorry, they are reflective practitioners. Always reflect. Reflection is actually asking questions. What are the most important aspects of this lesson that I really want the students to get it? Where might students encounter difficulties? Are they struggle? Which part they struggle? How can I do to facilitate? How can I do to help them? How can I do better to guide them? How can I link this content to their prior knowledge, making a connection? Is this lesson going as I planned? Sometimes we plan well, but it didn't go, it doesn't go the way that we want because of many factors and many more. This is what I call it as meta-cognitive based teaching and learning strategies. You can read about it in many books, and also if you Google, you can find a lot of information about the meta-cognitive learning strategies. So for students, we want to develop the skill to learn how to learn. And if they have acquired and mastered the skill, whenever they go, as I mentioned just now, dicampak ke laut menjadi pulau, dicampak ke langit menjadi kejora yang bergemerlapan, because they can adopt and adapt as necessary. On the teacher side, enhance professionalism, master the skill to implement hybrid learning, hybrid and flexible learning, and so on. There are so many buzzwords nowadays. Yeah. And remember, the concentration span of our students now very short. So let's chunk our content into small chunk, because too much content taught into too small of a time span. Remember, 14 weeks, we want to cram everything into the class, into the lesson. They cannot absorb. They simply don't learn it. They will unlearn it. Okay, so bite-sized content, discrete chunks of information or skill-based knowledge that can be delivered in short bursts of time. So the concept of micro-learning here, bite-sized learning. Learn anything in small chunk. That's the basic premise of bite-sized learning. It makes sense to break down content into a small, manageable segments. A call to action number 6, almost there. And this one of, I believe, a very, very important aspect that we need to pay attention to. And this is what CDAE is basically tasked. Amanah yang diberikan kepada CDAE sebenarnya inilah dia. To enhance professionalism. We want all the close to 2,000 academic staff in USM, and now, by extension, all academics and educators in Malaysia. Professionalism. in my opinion, a lot of issues that we are facing in terms of quality, in terms of management, in terms of deliverables, in terms of, a lot of issues that we face in education, whether at the university level, in the school, or education in Malaysia as a whole, because of not lack of planning, because we have a lot of blueprint, we have a lot of good documents, strategic planning, and so on. But as usual, we know very well the bottleneck or the failure actually is at the implementation and execution. We know that, we acknowledge that. But what do we do about it? I think one of the main issues is actually lack of professionalism or absence of professionalism. That's the worst scenario. Enhance professionalism. That's moving forward that we need to do. Because I believe starting from a personal level, because personal growth drives the professional growth. We cannot expect to grow professionally if we are being bogged down with a lot of issues at the personal level. Therefore, personal growth drives the professional growth. This is my own words. If you Google it, probably you cannot find it. I hope to write one blog article on this. That's the title. Personal growth drives the professional growth, and this is what I believe. So professionalism, we want to enhance the professionalism of teachers and education administrators to become more agile and adaptive in the VUCA world. So if you're looking at the institutional level like USM, from the top, the vice chancellor, the deputy vice chancellors, then the middle administrators like the deans, deputy deans, then go down to the lecturers, the support staff. Everyone without fail must be very professional and have the highest level of professionalism. But what does professional means? What does professionalism means? And why is it important? Because ultimately, we want to deliver the so-called next generation student experience, the so-called best learning experience, distinguished learning experience. So professional, one definition here, is a person who possesses a personal body of knowledge. They are subject matter expert. They have the mastery of the subject matter. They have the know-how, which is recognized and valued by the market. This is actually in the business context. So professionalism, by extension, is believing passionately in what you do, never compromising your standards and values, caring about your clients, in our case, our students, your people, and your own career. The conduct from Merriam-Webster Dictionary, professionalism is the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or professional person. And this is my own words, which I shared with someone yesterday, and I thought, this is good. I can use it in the slide. Professionalism, if you simply perform your duties in accordance with your job description, the JDs, then you are putting in just enough effort. That's okay. Just enough, or barely enough. However, if you go above and beyond the JDs, go the extra mile, and deliver results that are better than expected, then you have demonstrated the highest level of professionalism. So, my dear colleagues and friends, call to action number 6. Let us, everyone, be more professional and try to achieve the highest level of professionalism. Go the extra mile. Yeah. So there's something to ponder here. Oops. A professional educator does not consider his or her profession to be merely a job. It's just not a job. It's not just a job. It's a calling. It's a vocation that is centered on the care of children or their students. The ability to establish personal relationship and connection with students is a distinguishing characteristics of a successful teacher. But what does it take to become a professional educator? And I like to share a quote here. I like this quote very much from this teacher, Don Metric. You should constantly change and adapt with your students. You can teach 20 years, but please don't teach 1 year 20 times. It simply means that you keep repeating doing the same thing again and again, semester after semester, year after year, sidang academic after sidang academic, for as long as you teach in the university. Well, nothing wrong with that if you think it's effective, if you think the students learn effectively. But I think why not if we can add value? It's all about adding value. Why not we bring in new excitement, new ways, new innovation, creatively design our lesson plan so that students always look forward to come to our classroom. And words of mouth, they will tell their friends, hey, come to USM. This is place for where you can learn and you can, while enjoying yourself, enjoying the lesson, enjoying the moment when you learn and so on. We students can be our best ambassadors. They can become our best ambassadors, provided we provide them the memorable learning experience for them. So let's ask ourselves at this point, what is your best investment so far for your personal and professional growth? Those from USM that are listening now or listening on the recording, how many of CDAE program have you attended? Did you attend only for CPD? Or did you attend because you really want to learn and to improve your skill, to improve your knowledge, to improve your practice? So I think if you are not growing, you are dying. There's a very nice quote here. We need to constantly grow as an academic, learn new skill, learn new knowledge. Because learning professionalism in teaching is about the journey of growth. From novice, for those less than 5 years, probably you are still learning a lot of things about teaching. But we want to achieve a level of professional and high level of professionalism. And hopefully, at one stage, people can recognize you as a scholar. And this is where, the point when, probably you can be recognized as the recipient of Anugerah Academic Negara or National Academic Award when you reach this level, inshallah. So professional development is, it's a journey. It's a journey of upskilling and, to improve our competence from being a novice where we are exploring a lot of things and to a stage where adopt and adapt a lot of good practices and best practices. And hopefully to one level where you reach the professional and the scholar level, where you are practicing all the scholarly teaching, best practices, and then the time when you can become a mentor or mentor and help other people to develop. So at this stage, you develop yourself. At this point, now you develop others, develop other people. That's what being a scholar is about: sharing, disseminating, coaching, basically helping people create that ripple effect. And these are some of the things that what constitute professionalism: competence, conduct, and performance. I will leave you with this because I have described some of this point. But these are the things that we need. These are what it takes to become professional educators. With this, the VUCA world would not be as intimidating to us anymore. Believe me, if you have developed your competence, you have the knowledge, mastery of your subject area, you practice scholarly teaching, you can adjust, adopt, and adapt to the environment. You are, you are doing everything driven by the theory of pedagogy and so on. You are a true lifelong learner. You conduct yourself well. You demonstrate and practice values, carry yourself in a respectable manner. You can communicate and you communicate well. You are effective, proper relationship, and your performance. With this, everyone can not only survive, because we don't want just to survive. We want to flourish. We want to grow. And we want to grow well. We want to grow the strong root and the strong trunk and the green leaves. Like this. So these are the framework for core competencies in terms of the skill, in terms of the knowledge. These are all the different elements and dimensions that we have designed well in our CDAE program. So I urge, and this is my call to everyone here, let's participate in CDAE program in the future so that you can build your skill and competencies and knowledge so that you become a true professional educators. And moving forward in the VUCA world, you will flourish, you will grow, not only survive. Survive day by day is not the way to live in the next 10, 20 years in USM, in academia. Because technology is something that no longer an option. So, moving forward, maybe blended learning, hybrid learning, high flex, all these things become more and more common. So everyone must now acquire competencies for online to become competent online educators, online facilitators. A call to action number 7. I might exceed the time a little bit, inshallah. Hopefully, in the next 10 minutes, because I promised to actually wrap up by 11. A call to action number 7, strive to be a lifelong and life-wide learner. Something to ponder upon. Life as a teacher begins the day you realize you are always a learner. We are always and forever a learner. If we have that kind of mindset, I'm sure you will continue to learn, continue to acquire new skill and new knowledge. So lifelong learning is about empowering people, empowering our students, empowering our staff and communities to take control of their destiny and society to face the challenges ahead. I've written a long article in my blog. If you have time, please read Lifelong Learning from Cradle to Grave. So lifelong learning is about learning throughout life, from cradle to grave, to improve our knowledge, to improve our skill, to improve our competencies at personal level, at the society level, at the institutional level. So one of my favorite quote from Professor Walter Lewin here: knowledge does not narrow, knowledge only adds. And without knowledge, many experiences in life remain very narrow and very shallow. Abraham Lincoln words here: I don't think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. Life-wide learning is about not only learn from cradle to grave, but learn many things. So various sets of knowledge, various skill, in order to apprehend, advance, or even invent new knowledge and skill. The world, the VUCA world, need more people that have multiple skill, multiple competencies, multiple discipline. So that now you can open, you have a wide perspective. And this is where, when you become so-called someone with a lot of skill in different areas, different field, the potential for collaborating with other people is more, because not only you understand your own area, but you understand there's so much more out there, and there's huge potential for you to collaborate. And this is what we call, what we want our staff, our educators, is to have at least the tip-shaped profile, meaning that while you have a broad knowledge, broad competencies, but you want to have at least one deep expertise. But better still, if we can have an M profile, not only you have a broad-based knowledge, that's why I always encourage young lecturers or new lecturers to teach as many subjects in the curriculum as possible, at least 50%, 70% of the courses in the curriculum, teach at least once, so that in the 5 to 10 years, you acquire the broad-based knowledge. That will give you a lot of confidence. And then after 10 years, maybe you can start to go into at least 2 or 3 deep areas and hold on to it, develop the areas so that you can become an expert or recognized as an expert in that area. And having multiple skill, multiple discipline and competencies, this is what the term that we use to describe this person as polymath. And in the golden age of Islam, as well as in the so-called Renaissance in Europe, polymath are plenty. We have people like Al-Biruni during the golden age of Islam, Tamadun Islam. We have Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance. So he was called a Renaissance man, because these people, they not only have one expertise in one area, but they have many, like Al-Biruni here. He was an anthropologist, astronomist, chemist, sociologist, mathematicians, psychologist, and so on. Amazing. So in the VUCA world, what we want is not only specialist, but we want also a polymath. Because the traits of polymath, they have extreme adaptability and openness. They are highly curious. They ask questions. They question everything. They read a lot. They are avid and voracious reader. They embody beginner mindset. Beginner mindset is someone that is always ask questions. Someone that looks naive, appear to be naive, but not naive, but they are just person who is willing to ask question, although it looks like a silly question, but because they want to learn, and they want to learn from everyone. They put themselves low enough, low enough to learn from everyone, not thinking that they are the master. They have high self-discipline. They are relentless in pursuing any agenda, not bound by convention and habit. They are resourceful, the resourcefulness. These are the traits of polymath. And moving forward in VUCA, this is the type of people that we want. There's a lot of opportunity for learning, micro-credential. All these are online platform. There's plenty of things plenty of places that we can go to learn just about anything. This is learning on demand. Learning just in case, just in time, just enough, and just for me. It become very personalized and customized. It can be non-credit bearing. It can be credit bearing like this. You can see here. There's a university credit for this particular course. You just pay this amount, and you can get a degree or a diploma or formal qualification from a well-known, reputable university around the world. Yeah. Finally, a call to action number 8. And you might think that Professor Karim always talk about technology, always champion technology. But ladies and gentlemen, technology is just an enabler. It's just a tool. A fool with a tool is still a fool. So we can use technology to help us to provide kind of to empower us to bring great values, great learning experience to our students. So I urge, and is a call to action, last one here, last but not least, let us embrace and leverage the power of technology. High tech, but high touch, high teach, and high learn. Moving forward, we want to optimize online delivery. We want to optimize face-to-face class session, and then probably we are going for hybrid learning, uh, blended learning, high flex, and so on. So in order for us to deliver to the best possible way we can, we have to enhance the professionalism. There are a lot of examples around the world if you care to read. See how this professor of calculus, making calculus as an interesting subject. I would love to learn calculus with this professor. Forget cat photos, this prof is making calculus go viral. So when you get the slide, maybe you can just Google the title and read about it. Professor Jim Fowler. Professor is making calculus go viral. Professor Jim Fowler has spent more than 1,000 hours on his calculus course on Coursera. 1,000 hours. Are we prepared to do that? Calculus 1, the course he's teaching, has enrollment more than 100,000 students. He built a MOOC or a MOOCless. And he has developed a quiz program full of customized hints and automatically generated extra problem in areas where individual students need help. So now learning become more and more adaptable, although it can be done as a self-learning, so self-instructional, independent learning. But the way we design it in such a way that students can really do on their own, because it was designed in such a way that becomes self-instructional. Okay. So this is from the web page. Calculus 1 is enroll in the course, watch the lectures, read the textbook, do the problems, explore mathematics. I think when we look at the program that we are offering now, let's say face-to-face, why not we also offer the version in the form of online MOOC or micro-credential? We want to do something different, but something that would provide the best learning experience, whether it's fully online or fully face-to-face or blended or hybrid. But we need a lot of time here, time consuming initially, Perlukan pengorbanan, sacrifice. So from film Mat Kilau, I like to this quote, Tanpa pengorbanan bukanlah perjuangan namanya. So if you want to embark on this, it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult. The learning curve can be very steep for some people. But a few years after that, down the road, you will reap the fruits of your labor, inshallah. So finally, as a summary, I want to put together all the 8 calls to action. Number 1, please take care of yourself and your family. Number 2, let us create this vision, a shared vision for future-proof learning ecosystem. The new academia, the 8 dimensions of future-proof learning just now. If we can really get the 8 dimension developed and designed well and deliver well, it's going to be future-proof. Come what may, not only we can survive, but we will continue to flourish. Call to action number 3, let's understand learning. So the V in VUCA is the vision, the U in VUCA is the understand learning, understand learners, understand about ourselves. So let's get the student to become self-directed learners, self-regulated learners, meta-cognitive learners. And we as an academic, let us be reflective practitioners. Call to action number 4, tap into the power of emotion. We are emotional beings. We are emotional beings. So we have to learn to manage the emotion. We have to help our students to manage their emotions. We have to be more empathetic. So the empathy, empathy, empathy. Number 5, call to action number 5, rethink our instructional strategy from content-centric, from teacher-centric to learning-centric to learner-centric. Call to action number 6, enhance professionalism. Call to action number 7, strive to be a lifelong and life-wide learner. Let us be the polymath as well as the specialist. Let us try to strive to be to create the M profile. Number 8, call to action number 8, embrace and leverage the power of technology. Technology is our friend. Technology is not our enemy. Don't be the slave to technology, but let us be the master of technology. And moving forward, let us plan for contingencies, plan B, plan C. Let us close the equity and the technology gap, the digital divide. Let us address the SDG number 4, putting Maslow before Bloom by providing holistic support to our students before expectation for higher order learning. Enhance strategies for hybrid learning that engages students, create more professional development for the effective integration of technology into instruction and learning so that it becomes seamless. Responding to the social emotional wellness needs of faculty and students, balance the synchronous and asynchronous session, don't stop learning, learn the tricks of the trade, and stay humble. Finally, the quote here, only this morning from the Facebook I've shared on my timeline. One tree, the title is One. Let us read together, shall we? One tree can give life to a forest. One smile start a friendship. One hand can uplift a soul. One idea can shape the future. One candle can wipe out darkness. One love can conquer gloom. One ray of hope can lift our spirits. One touch can show that you care. One life can make a difference. Let us all be that one today. My favorite slide in all my presentation from Steve Jobs, from the late Steve Jobs, stay hungry. Stay hungry for knowledge. Stay foolish. Be creative. Let people call us crazy. All those inventors like Thomas Edison and so on, if you read the books of the great scientists, most of them are labeled crazy. But from their craziness, from their madness, we have all the wonderful technology. So stay foolish, stay creative, and from yours truthfully, stay strong, because you need that physically and mentally strength. Take care of yourself, your health, and thank you so much. And this is one slide that you might want to take the picture, because there's a link for you to download the slide, about 102 slides here. Feel free to use the slides as you wish, because all the slides are labeled CC BY, meaning Creative Commons license, where I have granted the permission for you to use, to recycle, to change, to adapt, to remix, and so on, as long as you don't remove my name from the slide. So I hope I have given value for your time today, from 9:30 to now 11, almost 11:15. I don't know whether the questions, maybe I'll stop the sharing now. Other questions, Moni? Where is the Okay, I guess there's no questions because this is a farewell webinar. Well, feel free to, again, my final words here. All the best, everyone, in your future undertaking. Some of you or many of you, your journey is still long, and my dua is with you. And please also make dua for me. I will not disappear to the oblivion. Inshallah, I will continue to be active in education. I have pledged my support to USM. You will see me also in future giving webinar and so on, inshallah, if invited by CDAE. And you'll see me also probably in different places and so on. So if we happen to cross path, if I don't recognize you, please say hello. And feel free to communicate with me through Aspiring Young Academy. You can message me, PM me. Inshallah, I will respond. If you have my phone number, feel free also to communicate with me. If you want to get any assistance, helps, whatever, don't feel, don't you can continue to keep in touch. So with that, once again, thank you so much for your time, your precious time. I really appreciate to be here. And please share the link because this is recorded, and there's a link, the same link in the announcement, the YouTube link. Please share far and wide with everyone because I really want to get the message across to everyone. The 8 call to action just now, so that together we will grow, we will continue to grow, and we will flourish together. Just like African proverb, pepatah Afrika, jauh perginya, pepatah Afrika, pepatah Melayu banyak ya. Tapi I like this African proverb, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So with that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera to everyone. Have a nice day ahead. Lisa, Zana, please save the chat because I don't have time to really go through the chat. Yeah.
Okay, Prof.
And yeah. So bye everyone.
Prof,
Yeah.
can I say
Yeah.
something there here?
Yeah, sure. Siapa ya?
Yeah, they're singing here, Prof.
Dr. Teh.
Yeah,
Oh,
Prof,
I'm
we
happy
want
to
to
see here.
say,
Oh, I can see Dr. Rai also here. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
we want
Yeah, feel
to
free. Yeah.
say
Go
many
ahead.
thanks to Prof Karim for another very insightful talk. We have learned so much from Prof, and we are sure that our path will cross again in the future. We would like to take a group photo together with Prof using this special WebEx
Okay.
background that we
Yeah.
have
Okay.
created. So our small little gesture of thanks for our Keep Shape to mark your last official webinar today. Happy retirement, Prof. And to all the participants, you are welcome to change your WebEx background using the link that we paste in the chat box so that we can take a group photo together with Prof Karim.
Oh, I can see the background. Some of you have the background with my avatar there. Wow.
Yes. Prof, you can get it also. We put in the link already. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teh. It's really, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the gesture, the words. And now I can see who are here. Friends from outside USA, Dr. Rai, Dr. Zahir. Thank you so much for making time to listen to my rambling. So how many? I haven't checked also how many.
Okay, maybe I
Okay.
can take from my side
Something.
here.
Let me apply the background first. Dr.
Okay,
Azhar
sure.
also here. Thank you so much, Dr. Azhar, for being here and giving the support, my dear colleague from Food Tech. So are we ready to, siapa nak ambil gambar ni, Zana? And how many pages?
Saya ambil page yang first dulu
Okay.
Okey.
Oh, Cik Muhammad pun ada ya. Thank you Cik Muhammad.
Satu. Dr. Izal. Okey. 1, 2,
Dr. Izal.
3.
Oh, Tesal, Prof Sal ya. Prof Sal. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm trying to scan through ni. Ramai ni.
Second page.
Dr. Eva, Prof Hazri ya. Oh, Prof Hazri pun ada. Thank you so much. Dr. Nizam, Ustaz Nizam. Dr. Nizam ke ni? Dr. Nizam from PP IK ke ni? Ada ya. Thank you. Apa lagi ya? Dr. Maizura, Mark. Thank you Mark for being here. Ketik.
Welcome, bro.
Ketik dia.
Retirement, Prof Karim. Sorry, I punya background ni apa ni green screen.
Ah, Datuk Farhan ya?
Bukan, Khairuddin. Prof Khairuddin.
Saya belum bersuara lagi, Prof Karim. Thank you very much.
Khairuddin. Oh, okay.
Selamat bersuara.
Okay.
We'll meet.
Selamat bersara.
We meet insyaAllah. Assalamualaikum.
InsyaAllah. Thank you. Orang lama pun ada ni. Datuk Farhan tak nampak ah? Datuk Farhan ada lagi?
Ada.
Ada. I don't see your video. Oh, ada.
Sebelah
Okay. Wow. The background is something already planned, is it? Someone planned, yeah. Oh, this is very surprising. That's a very nice surprise. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. This is something very unexpected. And now I need to control my emotion now. Okay. So far I managed.
Okay, Prof. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much. So thank you so much. Are we done with the picture?
Okey, Prof.
Okay. So thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes.
Selamat sejahtera.
Have a nice
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very
Very
much,
much, Prof.
Prof.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Terima kasih semua. Terima kasih semua.
Thank you very much, Prof.